Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Uncle Matt's Cookery Lesson. There's a recipe on the screen for faggots. Don't turn off just yet, that's what they are, they're meatballs. They're absolutely lovely, okay? You're going to love this. So you can see the ingredients laid out there. There's quite a lot going on. And this isn't for the squeamish. You know, there's chopping up liver and heart and stuff in it. And that wonderful looking stuff is called caul fat, or the French call it crepinette. I decided to use fresh breadcrumbs. So that's me making fresh breadcrumbs. You can use dried, just half the amount. Need finely chopped up onion. Now this video is quite long. I've done my very, very best to try to get it under 10 minutes, but I couldn't manage, I'm afraid, because there's quite a lot to show you, but I'm going to edit it heavily. So this is chopping an onion. And then it's me just afterwards running a knife through it, making sure it's as fine as I can get it. By all means, if you've got an attachment on the machine that will do that for you, do that, use it. Or grate it, you will cry. I had a little cry, to be honest with you. So, the minced pork, and I've got that from a butcher. The butcher's block in Portishead. Cracking butcher, by the way. Very helpful. They got me all this stuff for me. That was minced pork belly. Because you want something nice and fatty. In goes nutmeg. You can use allspice. You can use no spice at all. Completely up to you. Dried herbs are actually quite useful in this. So there goes some dried sage. And then my time in the garden is looking pretty sad and dry anyway, so I thought, well, let's spend about 5 minutes picking through some thyme. So many varying recipes for this, so there's no exact method, but I think bacon is very nice, so let's stick some bacon in there, shall we? Again, finely chopped. If you have a mincer, that's what I was saying earlier, if you have an actual mincer attachment for your machine, use it for this, but do it in a very coarse setting. This is the heart. First time I've ever done this, so it's the first time I've ever actually cut open a heart, and I was quite surprised to see it sort of just basically a whole great big chunk of meat. It's a big muscle, isn't it? It's got some tubes and some pipes and bits and pieces, so you want to take those bits out. I told you this was a bit, you know, not good for the squeamish, so if you are a bit squeamish, maybe this isn't the video for you, because in a minute I'm going to chop up some liver, and that's when it gets really tasty. So while I'm doing that, while you can see me doing it, let me explain. So if these originate from either South Wales, the Black Country, which would be the West Midlands, I believe, of England, or Somerset, they're all laying claim to it. It would be dating back to the mid-19th century. In the Yorkshire area in the north of England, they call them ducks or savoury ducks, and it's the butchers using up offcuts, mincing it and turning it into an absolute delight. Yes, it looks rank. Everything about it just says this is wrong, but when you actually finish them and you eat them, you're going to go, my goodness, and they are lovely. So, what am I chopping up now? I'm chopping up liver. And yeah, this doesn't look nice. The heart was sort of a lot more meaty than the liver. And once you really start chopping away the liver, it's like, okay, yeah, that's pretty grim. But it's got to be done. So a great big bowl. Best tools in the kitchen are your hands. Don't be shy. Get in there. Give this a thorough mixing before you add the crumb. Now you're going to need to leave some time for the crumb to absorb the mixture, because what you want to be able to form meatballs, and I've gone quite large with mine, even though the types you buy would be a lot smaller. I like quite large balls. Sorry. Yeah, I know. I sort of was a bit worried about how much bread to put in. I thought, well, if I put a bit less in, I'll give it time to rest, and then if they're not quite firm enough, I put the rest in. So on the recipe, what you see is actually what I put in, and I did need to use the rest of it. So that's giving that 1 hour in the fridge. So if Jerry Halliwell, you know, Ginger Spice, your next door neighbour, rings again and says, Uncle Matt, I've got my toe stuck in the bath, in the tap, you can actually go around and help her out. Clumsy mare that she is. Anyway, so that was an hour later, and I thought, no, they're a little bit wet still, so in with the rest of the breadcrumbs. Again, thorough mixing. I saw one recipe where instead of using breadcrumbs, they used Paxo sage and onion stuffing mixture, and I think it's quite clever because it's got sage, it's got onion, and it's got breadcrumbs. Genius. Okay, that's a punch of salt, and I'll let Al Pacino explain what that is.
Punch of salt. Punch. Punch. Punch of salt. Punch or pinch? Punch. Not pinch. What I said pinch. No, you said punch.
Okay, got it. A punch of salt. Plus, I put some white pepper in there. This is me testing a little bit. So I've got a frying pan on the stove, a little bit of oil in it, make it nice and flat, give it a minute, and taste it. Does it taste nice? Yeah, it does. If you think it needs a bit more salt, put some more salt in. And let's form these meatballs. So I've decided to go for something a bit like a cricket ball size. And I'm happy with that. So quickly get through all those. If you end up with a tiny bit left at the end, you can either make a tiny ball with it, or you can sort of add it to the other ones. Either way, I ended up with a baker's dozen, not a butcher's dozen. So obviously everyone knows that butchers can count and bakers can't. This is the caul fat, the crepinette. Again, it's just, it doesn't look good, but you've got to get past that. You've got to get past this sort of inner feeling of like, ugh, and just do it. It's lovely. Right, so I've had to give it a rinse twice and leave it in some fresh water because the water went a bit pink. Okay, and it just looks delightful, doesn't it? So it's basically fat. It's I think it's the lining of the stomach. Someone will correct me probably in the comments there. Known as caul fat or caul French. Where I used to work in posh French restaurants, we called it crepinette. So just basically cut away around it, wrap it over. It's self-sealing, adhering. I haven't done this for years, so I was sort of thinking, okay, yeah, that's it, that's using crepinette. I had lined a little bit of oil in my tray. I was worried that perhaps they might stick to the bottom. I needn't have worried. Different angle for you. I'm going to show you one more after this, so hopefully you'll know exactly what to do. There occasionally are some really thick bits of fat. I'll just trim those bits off. If you cannot get a hold of this stuff, if you've got a butcher that's not as helpful as mine, I had to order it a few days in advance. Don't stress about it. You'll still be able to make faggots. What I suggest you do is add more breadcrumb to your mixture to make them firmer, because these will really hold them together, and you'll end up with a really, more moist faggot this way. If you're not using the crepinette, also add some oil or butter or lard in the dish when you're cooking them as well, so they can baste in that. Because these self-baste, delicious. Roasting tray is good. They're going to release some water, but on all the recipes I looked at, they added a little bit of water to the tray, so I did. I'm beginning to regret it, or at least I should have just stopped there and only added in a couple of tablespoons full, because at the end of cooking, there you can see there's quite a lot of liquid, although don't worry, that's very nice in the gravy. So that was 1 hour, 180 degrees centigrade, that would be about 356 Fahrenheit. Some buttery mash made, check. Beautiful faggot haute cuisine, check. And this is, normally comes with peas and gravy, but I've done a pea and onion gravy, and again I had to cut that out of the video because the video was just too blooming long. You'd have got bored. And there is me cascading this wonderful gravy over this delicious steaming hot faggot. I didn't probe the temperature. You can see they're clearly hot enough. They would have been well over 80 degrees centigrade, but as long as they reach 72, they're cooked. I think in the States as long as it reaches 165, but take it on a bit longer, take it further. Oh, beautiful. You see how tender and delicate that is? I'm loving these. Gotta say, haven't had any faggots for a while, but these were by far the best I've ever had. And so thank you once again for watching Uncle Matt's Cookery Lessons. I hope you really liked this one. Give them a go. Go on. And I hope no one was too freaked out by it. And just at the end here, I found this treasure of an old advert, which I just cannot imagine anyone showing anymore on the telly. I'm pretty sure Ofcom would be inundated with complaints, but enjoy. Goodbye.
Hello, faggot lovers everywhere. I've a message for you from Birdseye. Birdseye faggots will appeal to your whole family.